Chapter 1, Transmigrated. The sky was clear, the breeze gently blowing. Sunlight spread warmly across the garden of the Gordon family's mansion, showcasing the beauty of spring, birds chirping, flowers blooming, a serene and tranquil scene. Suddenly, a loud commotion from inside the mansion disrupted this harmonious picture. On the staircase of the second floor, right above the living room, two young women were fiercely arguing, seemingly tugging at a folded card. Out of nowhere, a sharp scream pierced the air. Ah! At the same time, a figure tumbled clumsily down the stairs. The person on the staircase remained in the same position, still grappling with the card while arguing. At that moment, the mansion's grand door swung open, and a middle-aged man in a suit stepped in. This was none other than Andrew Gordon, the son-in-law of the Gordon family and the current head of the household. "Kara, what are you and your sister discussing?" Andrew Gordon had just stepped through the door when he saw his eldest daughter lying motionless on the floor. Looking at Kara Gordon with an incredulous expression, he asked, "Did you push your sister down?" Kara Gordon, startled by the accusation, quickly denied it. "Uncle, I didn't. She fell on her own." Andrew Gordon frowned, hurriedly walked over to his eldest daughter, and carefully turned her over to examine her thoroughly. Seeing no external injuries or broken bones, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. "It seems she just fainted. I'll carry your sister to her room. Call the family doctor and get 2 maids to take care of her." "Why yes, uncle," Kara Gordon replied, still looking terrified. Just moments ago, when Martha Gordon collapsed motionless, Kara had thought her sister was truly dead, and it had scared her to death. After carrying Martha back to her room, Andrew Gordon glanced at the clock. Time was running out. Today's auction was crucial. He needed to secure an investor during the event to resolve the Gordons' financial chain issues. "Kara, there's no time left. Your sister can't attend in her condition. Take her invitation and come with me," Andrew Gordon decided quickly. "Yes, uncle." Kara Gordon pulled the invitation card from Martha's clenched hand, a glint of satisfaction flashing in her eyes. She would still be the one attending the auction today. Not long after the two left, Martha, lying on the bed, suddenly opened her eyes. The sharp pain at the back of her neck made her groan softly as she reached up to hold her head, sitting up slowly. Ugh! It hurt so much. The power of the 9 heavens thunderbolt was no joke. She looked up and glanced around, suddenly realizing the surroundings had completely changed. What is going on? Clearly, she was undergoing her tribulation in the forest, so how did she suddenly find herself in the human world? Moreover, the design of this house, she had never seen anything like it before. Could it be that she failed her tribulation, struck dead by lightning? Before she could think further, a sharp, excruciating pain attacked her brain. Instinctively, Martha clutched her head. "Ah, young lady, you're awake. Dr. John, come quickly and check on the young lady, see if something's wrong with her head." An impolite voice exclaimed in astonishment. Shortly after, a lavishly dressed maid led a doctor into Martha's bedroom. Amidst the intense pain, Martha heard the noisy shouting and felt extremely irritated. She glanced at the two approaching her, unintentionally exuding an aura of intimidation that terrified the maid. "Get out." Martha's expression clearly frightened the two of them. They had never seen the young lady exude such an oppressive presence. For a moment, both of them froze in place, their entire bodies trembling. "Don't make me say it a second time." Martha's tone was soft, but her icy demeanor sent chills down their spines. The two, accustomed to flattery and reluctant to handle such situations, quickly retreated from Martha's bedroom after a moment of fear. They even made sure to close the door on their way out. Once the door was shut, the two dared to whisper complaints about Martha. Martha couldn't care less about their grumbling. Just moments ago, information about this world had suddenly flooded into her mind. The pain dissipated in an instant, and she swiftly began sorting through her current situation. Thinking about how I, a lotus elf, had cultivated for hundreds of years, endured 99 tribulations, and was on the verge of ascending to immortality only for something to go wrong at the critical moment of ascension, resulting in me being transported into a book. What's worse, it's a melodramatic romance novel with skewed morals. The original owner of this body had the surname Gordon, and like me, was named Martha. However, she was nothing more than a short-lived tool. She suffered a heart attack after falling down the stairs, wasn't rescued in time, and her heart stopped beating. After the original Martha's death, Andrew Gordon deceived Eve Gordon, the original Martha's mother, into handing over her shares. Once he fully controlled the corporation, he revealed his true colors to Eve Gordon. Not only did he imprison her, but he also shamelessly slept with another woman right in front of her. To make matters worse, the female lead of the story, Kara Gordon, outwardly appeared to be the daughter of the original Martha's uncle, making her the original Martha's cousin. In reality, she was the illegitimate child of the scumbag Father Phoenix and a brazen young model, Abigail Stone, making her the original Martha's half-sister. Though they were half-sisters, they shared only a father, meaning Kara had no blood ties to the Gordon family. Yet, in the end, she inherited everything from the Gordon family. Martha thought about the current situation. The Gordon family company was now almost entirely controlled by Andrew Gordon. Abigail Stone and Kara Gordon were living comfortably within the Gordon family estate, and even the servants of the household were Andrew Gordon's rural relatives. The Gordon family was undoubtedly on the brink of collapse. But now that I, Martha Lotus, am here, no one in the Gordon family should think they can act recklessly. Kara Gordon sought out the original Martha solely to obtain an invitation letter, intending to attend a charity auction to secure investments for Andrew Gordon and thereby solidify her position in the Gordon family company. And indeed, with her protagonist's aura, she managed to attract investments effortlessly. This auction was the first battle Martha wanted to fight. The current troubles of the Gordons were an opportunity, a perfect chance to overthrow this corrupt family. Martha thought of someone, the original owner's good friend, Victor Clark. Victor Clark was a renowned designer, and he would undoubtedly have an invitation to the auction. Without wasting time, she quickly left the house and drove straight to Victor Clark's studio. Victor Clark was a bit stunned to see Martha, clearly surprised by her sudden appearance. Martha explained her purpose to Victor Clark, and as a loyal friend, he was more than supportive. "I'll make sure you steal the show tonight." Martha looked in the mirror, assessing the original owner's face, delicate features and a perfectly oval shape. However, when viewed as a whole, it seemed a bit lackluster, as if a layer of dust had dulled its beauty. Martha could roughly guess the reason: it was likely the heroine Kara Gordon's aura at work. After all, side characters were always meant to be overshadowed by the heroine, even in appearance. In the book, the original owner never sought attention. She always dressed plainly for events, blending into the background. All of this stemmed from a single remark by Andrew Gordon: he liked gentle, elegant girls, as modest as chrysanthemums. However, the slightly plump figure of the original owner, along with the rather ordinary appearance, did not align with elegance. Her facial features needed a touch of makeup to become dazzlingly captivating. At this moment, Victor Clark was in a cheerful mood. He pointed to a row of gowns and said to Martha, "Feel free to choose any. Are all of these for me?" In front of her was a row of gowns, each with its own unique beauty, each showcasing countless intricate details. "Yes, I've made quite a few gowns for you before, but you never wore them. You even said that the clothes I designed were too extravagant." Thinking about Martha's past critiques of his work, he felt a tinge of anger. But recalling how she had once saved his life, he begrudgingly forgave her. "Back then, I was ignorant, mistaking jade for a fish." Martha brushed her long hair aside with her hand, then pointed her slender finger at the black gown at the far end. "I choose that one." Victor Clark raised an eyebrow, impressed with her taste. That gown had taken him 6 months to create. Its beauty wasn't limited to the daytime. Under the night's lights, it became even more magnificent. "Makeup, is that all right?" "Of course." "All right then, leave it to me." Victor Clark enthusiastically began to do Martha's makeup. Chapter 2, Stunning the entire venue. The car slowly came to a stop in front of the hotel entrance. A valet at the door respectfully opened the car door for Martha. Martha stepped out of the car gracefully, her face as captivating as her name suggested, elegant, radiant, and breathtakingly beautiful. Instantly, countless camera flashes lit up, capturing her every move. Reporters were already waiting outside. "Which prestigious family does this lady belong to? Why have we never seen her before?" The grand hall doors swung open. In an instant, all eyes turned toward Martha, filled with astonishment. Her slender figure, the stunning evening gown, and her dazzling charm made her look like an enchanting siren, drawing everyone in. Martha ignored the gazes of the crowd and walked straight inside. Her eyes scanned the room, finally settling on a pair of man and woman in the middle of the banquet hall. The corners of Martha's lips curled up into a sly smile, a hint of mischief sparking within her. She moved toward the pair, her face adorned with a perfectly measured smile. "Lucas, Kara, why are you two together?" Lucas Howard, the original host's perfect fiancé, Kara Gordon, the original host's dear younger sister. "So, these are the male and female leads." Sure enough, hearing 100 times is not as good as seeing once. In reality, it's just ordinary. "It was Uncle who asked me to take care of Kara." "Martha, why are you here? Didn't Uncle say you were sick?" Lucas Howard replied. Kara Gordon was also startled when she saw Martha. Why did she come here? Didn't she not have an invitation? This auction strictly required invitations for entry. It wasn't an ordinary party where one could sneak in. Otherwise, Kara wouldn't have gone through so much trouble to compete for an invitation earlier. Martha smiled without saying a word, glancing at the outfits of the two, which looked like matching couple attire, just like the descriptions in books. Lucas Howard didn't pay attention to Martha's attitude. Instead, he was stunned by her beauty but also slightly annoyed. "Martha, is your dress today designed by Victor Clark? It must not have been cheap." The relationship between Martha Gordon and Victor Clark was almost common knowledge among the upper-class circles. This was also what irritated Lucas Howard the most. She had such excellent connections yet didn't even think to ask the designer to make a few outfits for him. As his fiancée, she was even less considerate than Kara, his red-haired confidante. The selfishness of this rich young lady was extreme. Once she married into the family, he would definitely make her change. The Harper family had now been voted by business media as the fifth largest family. Martha Gordon was the leading heir of the Gordon family. Once he married Martha Gordon and took over the Gordon family's business, one of the four great families, the Gordons, would henceforth be replaced by the Harpers under his control. Lucas Howard was preoccupied with his grand plan for Vance, unaware that Martha was no longer the naive Martha of the past. "Okay," Martha responded nonchalantly, fully aware of how uncomfortable Lucas Howard must be at this moment. Coming from a rural background, he had climbed step by step to his current position under the halo of a protagonist, harboring a certain resentment towards the wealthy in the process. "Martha, a woman's virtue lies in frugality and managing the household. In the future, as my wife, you'll be responsible for overseeing the day-to-day expenses of the Harper family. Such wasteful behavior is simply unacceptable. Martha, don't feel bad, I'm saying this because I sincerely want to marry you." Lucas Howard began his manipulative speech. Martha almost dropped her jaw in disbelief. Truly, the protagonist didn't lack a few tricks up his sleeve. But Martha wouldn't let him have his way. Feigning surprise and innocence, she countered, "Lucas, has your family fallen to such a state? To think you don't even have servants." Martha didn't lower her voice intentionally when saying this, so those nearby heard her and turned to scrutinize Lucas Howard. Could the Harper family really be that poor? The curious stares made Lucas Howard visibly uncomfortable. He stubbornly explained, "Oh, my dear, you misunderstood. How could I let you do a servant's work? What I meant is that, as my future wife, you'll be in charge of managing our finances. All household expenses will naturally be under your supervision." His words were eloquent, leaving little room for criticism. Martha pretended to suddenly understand. "Oh, so that's how it is, Lucas, you're right." But before Lucas Howard could feel pleased, Martha quickly shifted her tone. "However, Kara, you don't need to be so frugal. Look at the couple's attire you two are wearing, it's certainly not inexpensive." Her voice rose slightly, emphasizing the words, couple's attire. Nearby noble ladies perked up their ears, eager to catch the gossip unfolding. Without waiting for Kara Gordon to explain, Martha directly pointed at the small emblem beside the brooches on their outfits, her eyes filled with mockery. The overseas renowned designer Mark Dexter was a disciple Victor Clark had taken under his wing during his travels abroad. To honor his mentor, every outfit Mark designed bore a small S emblem, the size of a thumbnail. For singles, it was a single small S. For couples, it was a pair of small SS. These protagonists clearly underestimated the original owner. The emblem could have easily been hidden with a brooch, but they deliberately chose to flaunt it. Subtly showing off their relationship. Then let's make a spectacle of it. Everyone's eyes fixated on that pair of small SS emblems, sparking a flurry of whispers. Isn't Lucas Howard supposed to be Martha Gordon's fiancé? Why is he wearing couple's attire with Kara Gordon? Kara Gordon is the other woman. No way, that's such a shame. I thought she was beautiful, but who knew beneath that pretty face, she'd be so shameless. It's not like that. Martha, you've misunderstood us. This outfit was originally prepared for Ethan, but he couldn't make it due to some commitments. Lucas didn't have anything appropriate to wear, so I let him use it, Kara Gordon explained, carefully weighing the pros and cons to protect her reputation. You and my brother are together now? Martha asked, looking at Kara Gordon in shock. Kara's smile faltered almost instantly. Forcing a stiff grin, she replied with great difficulty, "Yes, we're together now. Congratulations. My brother is gentle and courteous to others, truly a good match. From now on, should I call you sister-in-law?" Martha's unexpected reaction caught Kara off guard. Using Ethan Gordon as a shield was something Martha hadn't anticipated. However, this shield wasn't something you could pick up or discard at will. Ethan Gordon was a child Eve Gordon had accidentally found and taken in. At the time, the original host of the family had not yet been born, and Eve couldn't bear to send the child to an orphanage, so she went through the adoption process. In the story, this brainless older brother of hers became Kara Gordon's loyal pawn, manipulated by her entirely. He neglected his mother, even when she was gravely ill, all because Kara had molded him to her will. Of course, he wasn't a biological child, just a fool who fell for a few sweet words from the woman he adored. Kara Gordon bit her lip so hard it nearly bled. Who wanted to be Martha Gordon's sister-in-law? That idiot Ethan Gordon, how could he ever be worthy of her? But the words had already been spoken, and with so many people watching, she could only swallow her grievances. She vowed to pay it all back double in the future. All right. I have some matters to attend to. You all continue chatting, Kara said softly before quickly leaving the scene of contention. Lucas Howard's expression wasn't very good either. The outfit prepared for Ethan Gordon, what was the meaning behind that? Didn't she say it was specially prepared for him? Once they returned, he would definitely find time to ask her for an explanation. Those around them seemed eager to diffuse the tension and quickly started small talk. Martha, disliking Lucas Howard's fake demeanor, exchanged a few perfunctory words before leaving. It seemed she needed to find an opportunity to quickly annul this troublesome engagement. As soon as Martha left, Lucas Howard let out a sigh of relief. At that moment, there were only 2 minutes left until the auction began. Chapter 3, Encounter. Martha wandered into a small garden. The fresh air outside made her feel much more at ease. She found a relatively secluded bench and prepared to rest for a while. Suddenly, her right index finger began to feel slightly numb. At the same time, the sound of footsteps approached her. Moreover, as the footsteps grew closer, the numbness in her finger intensified. Was her destiny about to reveal itself? But she had checked her right index finger earlier, there was nothing unusual about it. Just as she was about to stand up to inspect this strange sensation, a man suddenly appeared and pinned her beneath him. The pungent smell of alcohol rushed into her face, mixed with a strange fragrance. Martha instinctively sniffed. It was Ylang. Had he been drugged? Inhale. Just as Martha raised her hand to push the person pressing down on her away, a tingling sensation in her index finger instantly peaked, and a crisp pop echoed in her head. Gently rubbing it a bit, she noticed a small amount of white liquid oozing from the tip of her finger. Her celestial dew had transmigrated into this world with her. Excited, Martha lifted her fingertip, ready to consume the celestial dew. After all, her celestial dew had the effects of strengthening the body, detoxifying, curing illnesses, enhancing beauty, and nourishing the skin. Back when she was Martha Lotus, her peerless beauty was all thanks to this celestial dew. But then... smack! A moist sensation enveloped her index finger. Huh! Martha's mind went blank for a moment. The cooked duck has flown away. Lowering her head, she saw the man beneath her gently sucking on her index finger, as if drawing out her essence. Furious, Martha raised her hand to slap him. But as her eyes landed on the man's face, her hand froze mid-air, and she swallowed hard. What a stunningly handsome face! His features were as perfect as carved jade, an upright, high-bridged nose, soft pink lips, and slightly upturned, narrow phoenix eyes that carried a hint of allure, irresistibly captivating. Truly, a masterpiece of beauty. Today, meeting her was his lucky day. Her essence could neutralize the effects of the aphrodisiac and completely eliminate its toxicity within 2 minutes. Now, all she had to do was wait for him to wake up and demand compensation. Just as Martha was silently admiring his striking features, a sweet, coquettish voice called out from afar. Blasphemy. Who was she calling? Blasphemy? William Hunt, perhaps. The plot of the novel suddenly flashed through Martha's indulgent mind. William Hunt was the sole heir of the Hunt family, the leader of the 4 great clans, and also a top star in the entertainment industry. With devilishly handsome looks, a fortune worth billions, and immense wealth. William, stop hiding. The woman's voice grew more seductive as the crisp sound of high heels drew closer. Help me. William Hunt's weak voice, carrying a warm breath, whispered into Martha's ear. He could clearly feel the seductive poison in his body lessening, and even the inexplicable confinement of his powers showed slight signs of loosening. Was it because of the liquid he had just ingested? Could it be celestial dew? Martha's ear tingled slightly, and her earlobe instantly flushed red. What do I get for helping you? Martha rubbed her ear uncomfortably, staying alert despite his beauty and not forgetting to seize the opportunity to bargain. For you. William Hunt pulled out a black card from his chest. Tonight's expenses. I'll cover them. Truly worthy of being the leader of the 4 great clans, his generosity knew no bounds. Martha quickly pocketed the black card. She forcefully pushed William Hunt to the ground and then sat down on top of him. Her floor-length dress, under the dim lighting, barely concealed William Hunt. William Hunt was bewildered. He, the dignified president of Ho Corporation, was actually sat on by someone. Martha took out her phone, switched to selfie mode, and began taking pictures of herself. Just as she finished snapping the first photo, the owner of the soft and alluring female voice stepped out in front of Martha, her high heels clicking against the floor. The woman looked at Martha with disdain, rolling her eyes arrogantly before saying, "Martha Gordon, are you here alone?" "Yes, just me," Martha replied, her hands continuing to move as she glanced at Anna Downs briefly, then resumed taking selfies. Anna Downs, the heiress of the Downs family, one of the four great families, and a reigning queen in the entertainment industry. Her public image in the industry was that of an untouchable ice queen. "Villains are always so dramatic, wasting such a beautiful outfit," Anna Downs remarked jealously as she eyed the gown Martha was wearing. "That dress would look even better on her," she thought. "Yes, Miss Downs, you're absolutely right." Martha's main task now was to protect her benefactor who was covering tonight's expenses, so she chose not to argue. If her words accidentally provoked Anna and made her lose her temper, there was a real chance Anna might rush over, pull her hair, or tear her dress apart. The benefactor must not be exposed. Humph. Martha's self-restraint left Anna Downs dissatisfied. With a cold snort, Anna turned on her heels and left. Waiting until it was certain that Anna Downs would not return, Martha quickly stood up from William Hunt. Seeing William Hunt's face darken, she couldn't help but tightly clutch the black card in her hand, pursing her lips. "You pinned me down, I sat on you, we're even. Here." Standing up, Martha could easily take in the view of the small garden. When she saw the bodyguards of the Hunt family rushing over, she let out a sigh of relief and simultaneously waved toward them. Taking advantage of the bodyguards surrounding William Hunt, Martha swiftly made her escape. As William Hunt's consciousness gradually cleared, he watched Martha's retreating figure through the gaps between the bodyguards. A peculiar glint flashed in his deep eyes. So, it was her. But why does she have the celestial path? Martha's casual attire today had already caused quite a stir, and William Hunt had noticed it earlier. That gown, he couldn't possibly mistake it. By the time Martha entered the hall, the grand speech had just concluded, and the host was introducing the charity auction items for the evening. She calmly took her seat next to Lucas Howard. After all, on the surface, she was still his fiancée. "Why are you late?" "The auction started a while ago," Lucas Howard lowered his voice, sounding a bit annoyed. Martha looked at Lucas Howard with a grievance-filled expression. "I was a bit busy earlier." "Lucas, why are you scolding me? You never used to scold me before. Do you not love me anymore?" "No, you're overthinking. How could I not love my darling? I wish I could give you the whole world." Lucas Howard was momentarily taken aback by Martha's change in mood, but sweet words poured out effortlessly. He merely assumed her brief outing had improved her spirits. Hug the whole world. Hearing this made Martha shudder with disgust. Since he's offering himself up, it'd be a shame not to trick him after everything the original owner had endured. Martha flipped through the auction catalog, a gleam of excitement flashing in her eyes. She handed the catalog to Lucas Howard and pointed to one of the auction items. "Lucas, I don't need the whole world. I just like item number 3. Can you buy it for me?" Martha clung to Lucas Howard's arm, her tone coquettish and playful. The moment Lucas Howard heard about spending money, he felt a bit uneasy. Why hadn't he noticed before how materialistic this woman was? Item number 3. Lucas Howard glanced at the catalog in front of him, a pink bracelet with a starting price of 1 million. Why not just rob a bank instead? What's wrong, Lucas? Do you think it's too expensive? But honestly, this is really cheap. Martha deliberately teased him with her words. And she wasn't entirely wrong. As the eldest daughter of the Gordon family, Martha Gordon naturally owned plenty of high-end jewelry. The reason she chose this particular item was because its price was just within Lucas Howard's financial tolerance. Anything more expensive, and she knew she wouldn't be able to deceive him. It wasn't that the Harper family lacked money, but as someone who came from a poor background, Lucas Howard inherently valued money deeply and was often stingy in many situations. Oh, no, not at all. How could it be? Lucas Howard hurriedly refuted, "It's not expensive at all. Just watch, your husband will get it for you in a moment." "All right then." Hooked. A man like him was far too concerned with saving face. Chapter 4, Ancient Jade. Martha carefully reviewed her notebook, silently memorizing the code of the treasure she was truly interested in. That item, she must obtain it. Moreover, Kara Gordon had been provoked by her to the point of storming off somewhere. In that case, Kara wouldn't succeed as described in the book, in securing investment for Andrew Gordon. Her first battle had been won. Next, the auction began. The first item, a landscape painting by the esteemed Mr. Su, starting price 10,000, with increments of 10,000, starting now. The second item, jadeite, starting price 30,000, with increments of 10,000, starting now. The third item, a pink gemstone bracelet, this bracelet once belonged to the Tang dynasty, starting price 1 million, with increments of 10,000, starting now. After a round of introduction by the host, the pink gemstone bracelet began its bidding. 110,000. Lucas Howard, seated next to Martha, led the bid. But after he made his bid, no one else competed. Lucas Howard felt a surge of joy in his heart. He had been prepared to bid up to 2 million, but unexpectedly, no one else was interested in competing, and he could acquire it at the starting price. Just as he was secretly pleased and waiting for the host to strike the gavel, a cold male voice came from behind. 150,000. Martha followed everyone's gaze and looked over. It was William Hunt. He had woken up. Lucas Howard also turned to look at the bidder, and his expression almost cracked. Fortunately, the bid still hadn't exceeded his estimated price. 180,000. Lucas Howard calmly raised the bid. He didn't believe the heir of the Hunt family would truly care about this bracelet. It was likely just a casual bid to liven things up since no one else had spoken up. But William Hunt continued, 200,000. At this point, Lucas Howard truly felt his face was about to crack. The current price had already surpassed his expectations, and he began to hesitate. Unexpectedly, when he turned around, he caught Martha's expectant gaze. This. He wanted to marry Martha Gordon, he couldn't let her think he was stingy over a bracelet. He had no choice but to raise the bid again. 300,000. 400,000. William Hunt continued to push the price higher. 450,000. Lucas Howard gritted his teeth, his face darkening. 5 million. William Hunt raised the bid again. What on earth is William Hunt doing? Could it be that he genuinely likes this bracelet? Lucas Howard's face turned as dark as the bottom of a pot, but with everyone watching him, he couldn't back down, not even at 5 million. Gritting his teeth, he shouted, 6 million. A broken bracelet at this price was already his limit, he couldn't go any higher. He still had other items he wanted to purchase, and this trinket had already eaten into his budget. Any more bids? 6 million, going once. This time, William Hunt didn't follow up, and the auctioneer began the countdown. 6 million, going twice. 6 million, sold. Congratulations to Mr. Harper for acquiring the pink gemstone bracelet at 6 million. Lucas Howard's heart was bleeding inside, but he had to maintain a cheerful facade. He glanced sideways at William Hunt, who was smiling back at him. That expression seemed to say, only an idiot would spend 6 million on a gemstone bracelet. Ugh. Lucas Howard felt as though a dagger had been plunged into his heart, leaving him on the brink of collapse. The price of the bracelet had been driven so high that murmurs of discussion erupted among the audience below. This bracelet is worth, at most, 3 million. It seems the young master of the Harper family truly loves the young lady of the Gordon family. Exactly, I own the same bracelet, and I bought it for only 1.8 million back then. The murmurs reached Lucas Howard's ears, and his mood, already on the verge of exploding, grew even darker. He even felt as though the words, "fool," were etched across his forehead. All the humiliation he was experiencing, he blamed it on Martha Gordon. In his heart, he silently plotted to settle the score with her the moment she stepped through the door. The fourth item, an ancient Tang Dynasty jade piece, starting price, 5 million. As soon as the jade piece was presented, Martha's entire demeanor lit up. This was exactly what she had been waiting for. 6 million. 7 million. 10 million. Martha directly shouted 10 million. With a black card in hand, she had no fear. 15 million. 20 million. Who is it, daring to compete with her? 30 million. Anna Downs continued to bid. The pink gemstone bracelet was undoubtedly bought by Lucas Howard for his fiancée, Martha Gordon. But why was William competing with Lucas Howard? Could it be that he was interested in Martha Gordon? Today, whatever Martha Gordon fancied, Anna Downs would fight for it. She wanted Martha Gordon to understand that Anna Downs was not someone to be trifled with. 50 million. Martha casually placed her bid, freezing Anna Downs' smug expression. 50 million. From what Anna Downs knew, the Gordon family had recently been searching for sponsors. How could the declining Gordon family suddenly produce such a large sum of money? Anna Downs refused to believe it. She crossed her arms, arrogantly stood up from her seat, looked toward Martha, and curled her lips into a cold, mocking smile as she said, "Some people shouldn't pretend to be wealthy. If you can't pay the bill later, it'll be truly embarrassing." Sitting next to Martha, Lucas Howard was already feeling uneasy. He knew Martha Gordon's financial situation better than anyone. Could it be that she wanted him to pay? That's unacceptable. If Miss Downs likes it so much, we'll fulfill her wish. Lucas Howard hadn't even finished his sentence when Martha interrupted him. "Host, shouldn't you announce the price of 5 million once again?" Lucas Howard's face turned pale with anger, his tone carrying a clear warning. "Martha, Miss Downs is right. If Uncle finds out about your reckless spending, he'll definitely..." Still not closing the deal. Lucas Howard's words were cut off once again. But this time, the interruption came from William Hunt. He directed his attention toward the host on stage. "Oh, 5 million going once." The host, who had been eagerly watching the drama unfold, quickly snapped back to attention. This time, an unusual silence fell over the room, no one dared to bid further. 5 million times 2. 5 million times 3. Deal, congratulations, Miss Gordon. The entire hall erupted in applause. Martha, under everyone's watchful eyes, stepped onto the stage to receive the ancient jade necklace and immediately requested to swipe her card for payment on the spot. The moment the transaction was completed, Anna Downs' expression turned incredibly complex. Chapter 5, Greenhaven's West District. Martha returned to her seat. Holding the ancient jade necklace, she could clearly feel the spiritual energy within her body harmonizing with the power of the jade. Her entire system of meridians relaxed, bringing an incredible sense of comfort. Lucas Howard grabbed Martha's arm tightly and questioned her, "Where did you get 5 million from?" "Of course, I saved it myself." Martha's serene moment was abruptly interrupted by Lucas Howard. Without lifting her head, she replied calmly. "You had money, and you didn't tell me." Earlier, hadn't Andrew Gordon mentioned that their family was running low on cash? Was he lying to him? Moreover, why wasn't this money used to support his work? What was the point of a woman flaunting herself at an auction? TCH. So annoying. This scumbag clearly only enjoyed putting on a show in front of others, pretending to be a devoted lover. The original owner of this body had been foolishly deceived by him. "Why should I tell you? Besides, you never asked." Martha answered dismissively, her gaze beginning to wander around the hall. Lucas Howard was at a loss for words, choking on his response. "Can't I spend my own money? Just because I married you, does it mean all my money has to be handed over?" Martha frowned as she spoke. The feeling of a cooked duck about to fly away made Lucas Howard respond anxiously, "Of course not, I'm just worried you might get scammed. This auction is quite complicated." Martha didn't expose his lie. "A charity auction, for charity. Lucas, don't you often say that we should help others within our means?" Indeed, in the book, what Lucas Howard said most often to the original host was to help others within her capacity. The truth was, he brainwashed the original host to help him within her ability. No, to go all out to help him. Martha sneered inwardly. This scumbag truly thought the original host was easy to deceive. He really used every trick in the book to manipulate her. Now, she was throwing his own words right back at him. Ah, right. Lucas Howard didn't realize that he was already being led by Martha. His initial anger, ready to criticize, was now suppressed because of a few words from her. "Lucas, I'm going to the restroom for a moment." Martha had no interest in the remaining auction items. Besides, the person she was looking for had already been found. Leaving the auction room, Martha headed straight to the VIP area and easily located the Miller family's lounge. She gently knocked on the door. "Miss Miller, I am Martha Gordon from the Gordon family." Lynn Miller, frowning inside the room, was slightly startled upon hearing the voice outside. She then opened the door. "Miss Gordon, what brings you here?" Her gaze was drawn to the antique jade pendant hanging at Martha's waist. "Indeed, I apologize for the intrusion. I came to discuss a deal with you, Miss Miller." As they spoke, Martha followed Lynn Miller into the lounge. "Oh. I wonder what kind of deal Miss Gordon wishes to discuss with my Miller family." Lynn Miller's tone was indifferent, as she didn't believe the seemingly useless young lady of the Gordon family could offer anything worthy of her attention. "The piece of land in the west of the city, our Gordon family wants it." "The land in the west of the city?" Lynn Miller frowned slightly. "We've already finalized negotiations on that land with the Downs family. The terms our Gordon family offers are undoubtedly better than those of the Downs family," Martha said, deliberately or unintentionally stroking the antique jade pendant at her waist. According to the book, this jade pendant held special significance for the Miller family, containing the secret to their ancestors' hidden treasure. What belongs to someone should remain theirs. Martha had no intention of coveting others' possessions. However, offering assistance while gaining a small benefit in return wasn't unreasonable. "Oh." Lynn Miller's attention was now entirely captivated by the antique jade pendant. Today, if it weren't for those useless uncles and elders in the family constantly staring at her, this ancient jade would already be in her hands by now. The Gordon family absolutely will not destroy the ecosystem of that land. From what I know, the Downs family intends to use that land to build a commercial street and residential area, right? The land in the west of the city was originally a gift from Mr. Miller to his wife. Since his wife loved plants and flowers, Mr. Miller specifically had an ecological area constructed there. Later, when Mr. Miller and his wife passed away, the land fell into the hands of Lynn Miller. Lynn Miller initially didn't plan to sell the land, but one of the Miller family's projects encountered issues. The Downs family could resolve it, but in return, they had their eyes set on this piece of land. Martha's words deeply moved Lynn Miller. However, as far as she knew, the Gordon family's finances weren't sufficient to purchase this land. "The land in the west of the city isn't cheap." "I know." Martha understood Lynn Miller's concerns. The Gordon family indeed didn't currently have the financial capability to inspire trust. Lynn Miller looked slightly surprised, waiting for Martha to continue. "I believe Miss Miller is well aware of the true value of this ancient jade. I trust it will satisfy you." Martha smiled as she removed the ancient jade from her waist and looked toward Lynn Miller. Lynn Miller's heart froze slightly. Could she know something? "No, that's impossible. Miss Gordon, you must be joking. When this ancient jade was bought for $5 million, it was already a high price. Meanwhile, that piece of land is worth 800 million. As a merchant by nature, although Lynn Miller knew the jade's value far exceeded 800 million, she habitually tried to negotiate the price. Is that so? It seems Miss Miller lacks sincerity. Well then, forget it. Martha withdrew the ancient jade piece, pretending to stand up and leave. Lynn Miller saw that Martha was really about to leave, gritted her teeth, and hurriedly said, "Wait, don't go, deal. Compared to this piece of ancient jade, what is that project even worth? Oh. Isn't this ancient jade less valuable than that piece of land?" Lynn Miller tried to play tricks, but Martha didn't care in the slightest. This could even be considered as gifting the jade to Lynn Miller. If she still didn't want it, then finding the treasure herself wouldn't be impossible. Though the ancient jade isn't valuable, Miss Gordon's capabilities are priceless. I hope our Miller family can establish a long-term partnership with Miss Gordon. The eldest daughter of the Gordon family truly deserves a second look. Martha smiled. Miss Miller has quite an eye for talent. Lynn Miller looked at Martha, who only smiled and said nothing, clenching her fists under her sleeves. Rumors can truly ruin someone. Who said Martha Gordon was blinded by love, spending her days chasing after Lucas Howard? Now she smiled like a sly little fox. Was he waiting for her to bring up the contract? Lynn Miller's final plan collapsed. She had intended to exploit a loophole in the contract, but this eldest daughter of the Gordon family was anything but simple. She let go, extending her hand towards Martha with genuine sincerity. Pleasure to collaborate. I'll have my assistant fetch the contract now. Pleasure to collaborate. Martha shook Lynn Miller's hand. It was done. The land in the western part of the city is truly a place of good fortune. Back then, the Downs family purchased this piece of land, initially building a commercial street and residential area, which seemed ordinary at first. Later, they restored the original ecosystem and transformed it into a large member-only estate, reaping immense profits. After signing the contract, Martha returned to the auction hall, where the event was nearing its end. The items had already been auctioned off, and the host was giving a thank-you speech. As the auction concluded, Lucas Howard suppressed his discomfort and escorted Martha back to the Gordon family's villa. The moment Martha stepped out of the car at the villa entrance, she immediately noticed William Hunt elegantly leaning against a lamppost. He was dressed in a sharp suit, arms crossed over his chest, perfectly embodying the aura of a domineering CEO. Their eyes met, and William Hunt raised an eyebrow, extending his slender hand. However, his words were utterly unexpected. "Return the card to me." Where's the domineering CEO now? Chapter 6, Confession. Martha was just about to say something when she suddenly became alert. Wait a minute. Someone's in the bushes. How could she have just noticed? Since when did her vigilance become so poor? What card? Lucas Howard stepped out of the car, looking at the two with a suspicious expression. Martha's brow twitched as she suppressed her other thoughts. She was certain that William Hunt was doing this on purpose, deliberately asking her for the card in front of Lucas Howard. "Miss Gordon, are you reluctant to part with it? Take it." Facing William Hunt's teasing smile, Martha quickly pulled the card from her bag and handed it to him, trying to avoid any further complications. What is going on here? Lucas Howard grabbed Martha's arm and questioned her. He recognized the card. It was the one Martha Gordon used to pay earlier tonight. Didn't she say the 5 million was from her savings? Could it be that Martha Gordon was cheating on him? Martha looked at Lucas Howard, who was spinning his own narrative, and found it amusing. But she stayed silent, biting her lip and pretending to be hurt, as though she was wounded by her lover's lack of trust. In the bushes not far away, a hand was continuously pressing the camera's shutter. Everyone says the eldest son of the Harper family is deeply devoted to the eldest daughter of the Gordon family. But now, it seems that's not quite the case. William Hunt's cold gaze swept over the hand gripping Martha tightly. Our business is none of your concern, Lucas Howard retorted harshly, glaring at William Hunt. I'm just offering a helping hand. Care to guess what tomorrow's headlines will be? William Hunt shifted his gaze toward the nearby bushes. Following William Hunt's gaze, Lucas Howard immediately spotted the reporter's cameras. He quickly let go of Martha's arm, replacing his angry expression with a proper smile, suppressing the anger boiling within him. He had to maintain his image as a devoted, gentle, good man. The speed at which his expression changed was astonishing. William Hunt smirked mockingly. As he passed by Martha, he used a voice only the two of them could hear and enunciated clearly, "Some people are not worth entrusting your entire life to." Martha watched William Hunt's retreating figure, her eyebrows slightly furrowed. Did he come to ask for her card just to reveal Lucas Howard's true nature to her? Was the media presence also orchestrated by him? Once the two entered the villa, away from the weapons of the media, Lucas Howard's face immediately darkened. Angrily, he asked, "What did William Hunt say to you?" "Nothing," Martha paused briefly. "Just thanking me for saving his life today." "Saving his life? What do you mean saving his life?" "He has a heart condition. I gave him an emergency pill. In return, he promised to cover the cost of tonight's auction for me," Martha said before heading toward the bedroom. In saying so, it wasn't entirely a lie. The original owner of this body indeed had a mild heart condition and always carried emergency medication. However, since her arrival, the body had nearly fully recovered thanks to the strength of her soul. "What? Why didn't you tell me earlier?" Tonight at the auction, there were several items he really liked. If he had known someone would pay for them, he would have bought them all. Lucas Howard suddenly felt annoyed. Martha stopped in her tracks, looking at Lucas Howard with an innocent expression. "Lucas, are you planning to take advantage of William Hunt?" Feeling a bit irritated from being called out, Lucas Howard's voice rose 2 tones in denial. "How could I? How could you think of me that way? You're yelling at me?" Martha appeared frightened, shrinking back, her voice filled with disappointment. "You weren't like this before. Lucas, do you not love me anymore? If you truly don't love me, I'm willing to let you go." Lucas Howard realized he had lost his temper and hurriedly tried to console her. "I didn't mean to, Martha, it's just because I love you so much that I'm sensitive to your thoughts. I won't act like that anymore, I promise. You looked so scary just now, I was really frightened, Lucas. Please give me some time to calm down." After saying that, Martha sadly closed the door to her room. Lucas Howard was left standing outside the bedroom door. "Knock, knock, Martha, please let me explain." No matter how Lucas Howard tried to explain outside, Martha paid no attention. At this moment, she was leisurely removing her makeup. Seeing the increasing number of servants in the villa, Lucas Howard, preserving his dignity, stopped explaining and left with a curt, "Then rest early," before storming off in anger. That evening, Martha went to her mother's room. Eve Gordon was slightly surprised to see her daughter but was still very pleased. It had been a long time since her daughter last visited her. "Martha, come sit here. It's so late, what brings you here?" Martha closed the door, sat down by her mother's bed, and looked at her intently. Eve Gordon was very thin, years of illness had stripped away the beauty of her youth. Martha couldn't help but feel a sting in her nose. "Mother, are you feeling any better? Did the doctor say when your illness might improve?" Martha's sudden and seemingly random concern surprised Eve Gordon. Her daughter had been pampered since childhood, a little princess who always acted on her whims. When had she learned to care about others? There must be something going on. Did Lucas Howard bully you? In the past, whenever Martha came, every sentence would involve Lucas Howard. Now, with her acting so differently, Eve Gordon could only assume it had something to do with him mistreating her daughter. "Mother, I want to break off my engagement with Lucas Howard," Martha said, her gaze firm as she looked at Eve Gordon. "What?" Eve Gordon's face was full of astonishment. Wasn't her daughter the one who liked Lucas Howard the most? She had once cried and made a scene, insisting on being with him. Lucas Howard is not a good person. He married me only for the Gordon family's assets. He wants to step on the Gordon family to achieve the Harper family's ambitions. I'm just a pawn to him. As she spoke, Martha's eyes were filled with disgust, without a trace of hesitation. Eve Gordon was astonished by her daughter's transformation, unable to fathom what her daughter had gone through. She had long warned her daughter that the Harper family's son was not a suitable husband, but her daughter insisted on liking him. Every time she mentioned that the Harper family's son was no good, her daughter would get angry. Why had she suddenly come to understand now? Mom, there's one more thing. You need to prepare yourself mentally. What is it? Eve Gordon had just recovered from her astonishment, but her daughter's following words left her unable to stay calm. The state of our company. Mom, you probably don't know yet. Martha asked cautiously. The company? Isn't everything still fine? Eve Gordon was slightly confused by her daughter's question. What could be wrong with the company? The Gordons, under Dad's leadership in recent years, have fallen from second place among the 4 major families to the very last. We're even on the verge of being removed from the ranks of the 4 major families. What? How is that possible? Eve Gordon couldn't help but raise her voice. Martha, you can't joke about something like this with me. Mom, it's true. The Gordon family has started to decline. Right now, we're only barely holding on to the title of being one of the 4 major families. Moreover, the company's capital chain is facing problems, and the skincare product line isn't performing well. To prove the authenticity of her claims, Martha took out her phone and showed her mother the documents she had gathered earlier. Her words were like a thunderbolt on a clear day, exploding in Eve Gordon's ears. Decline. Falling into decline. She had entrusted the Gordons to Andrew Gordon when the family was still in its prime. How could this have happened in just a few short years? Chapter 7, Stepping into the workplace. Eve Gordon held the phone, growing increasingly horrified as she read. This was completely beyond her understanding. Especially the stock chart analyses of the Gordon family by industry experts, those figures were glaring. Moreover, over the years, the reports Andrew Gordon had handed her had all seemed fine, but no, something was off. Eve Gordon suddenly realized something, breaking into a cold sweat despite it being summer. Andrew Gordon had been deceiving her. The Gordons is the lifelong effort of grandfather. I will never let his hard work go to waste, Martha declared. There were things she dared not say now, it was not yet the right time. Speaking up would be too dangerous. Eve Gordon's body trembled slightly. Martha firmly held her mother's hand. Mom, let me join the company. Trust me, I can handle this. All right, I trust you. Tomorrow, report to the company's research and development department and start as the general manager. Although she had been away from the company for years, Eve Gordon still handled matters decisively. Furthermore, she had always been the true authority, the shares remained in her hands. It was just that she had delegated much of her power to Andrew. But Andrew had betrayed her trust, and she didn't even dare to delve deeper into why he had deceived her. The current composure and clarity of her daughter's mind were things she had never seen before. It seemed her daughter had truly grown up. Her own health had never been good, and she didn't know how much longer she could hold on. She needed to pave the way for her daughter as soon as possible. Eve Gordon immediately made a phone call after leaving freely. Early morning. After finishing breakfast, Martha changed into a simple yet elegant black and white business suit and neatly tied her long hair into a bun. Ignoring Andrew Gordon's text message about arranging a driver to take her to the company, she went to the garage, chose the most inconspicuous Audi, curved her lips into a smile, stepped on the gas, and drove out through the side gate. Her next step was to enter the company and straighten everything out. At the same time, the driver Andrew Gordon had arranged for Martha was flamboyantly driving a bright red Ferrari, waiting at the main gate of the mansion to pick her up. The media Andrew Gordon had invited were also lying in wait near the company. Andrew Gordon had already come up with a trending headline, hashtag the eldest daughter of the Gordon family treats the workplace as a stage to flaunt wealth. Hashtag this morning, he had received the notification of Martha assuming her new position. He had a bad feeling but realized it was too late to stop her. He could only resort to this petty scheme to make Martha retreat. Martha parked her car in the Gordons' underground parking lot. Adjusting herself in the mirror to her best state, she stepped confidently on her high heels and walked into the Gordons. Meanwhile, the media lurking outside the corporation still hadn't spotted any red Ferrari passing by. Meeting room. Kara Gordon was in a meeting with her staff. She initially intended to keep up appearances in front of Martha Gordon, but the fact that Martha wanted to join the company, and even as her superior, was something Kara found very hard to accept. My cousin may have majored in biological sciences in college, but after all, she's been out of touch with the field for years. Now that she's starting fresh, if she makes any mistakes, I hope everyone can lend her a helping hand. These words sounded polite, but in reality, they were a subtle way of undermining Martha Gordon's competence. Manager Gordon, what is the company even thinking? Appointing a newcomer as the general manager of the R&D department, this is nothing short of a joke. Exactly. Our R&D department is the most critical part of the company. How can we let someone unqualified lead us? The managers voicing these opinions were all Kara Gordon's loyal confidants, individuals who had often received luxury gifts like handbags and watches from her. Kara felt a sense of satisfaction deep down but maintained a stern tone. After all, she is my cousin. Be careful with your words. Though she said this, the delight in Kara Gordon's eyes was unmistakable. The managers' comments grew harsher, their voices louder, each trying harder to curry favor with her. Outside the meeting room, Martha smirked slightly and quietly started recording on her phone. Turning around, she walked toward the reception desk. Inform all managerial-level staff in the R&D department to gather for a meeting in meeting room 2 in 5 minutes. Understood, the receptionist replied respectfully. After issuing the meeting notice, Martha did not head directly to the meeting room but instead turned toward the HR department. Shortly after, she returned to meeting room 2 carrying some documents. 8 minutes had passed, and apart from Martha, the room was empty. Martha neither rushed nor showed any annoyance. Calmly sipping her coffee, she reviewed the resumes of the attendees. Diana, described in the files as Kara Gordon's lackey, lacked any real ability and had climbed the ranks through flattery. Victor Miles, from the Gordon family, was promoted by Andrew Gordon and primarily tasked with solving issues for Kara Gordon. Tina Tan, also from the Gordon family, was fairly talented but frequently suppressed by Kara Gordon, preventing her from being utilized effectively. Lily Grant, knock, knock. Just as Martha finished reviewing the last resume, the meeting room door was knocked on. Tina Tan entered, accompanied by 2 or 3 other managers. CEO Gordon. Their demeanor was one of utmost respect. Please have a seat, Martha said with a faint smile. Once everyone was seated, she glanced at her watch. There were still 2 minutes left until the meeting time. Tina Tan discreetly observed the new CEO. She didn't seem to match the rumors circulating within the company. The rumors painted Martha Gordon as arrogant, vain, someone who spent her days chasing after men, with nothing but emptiness in her head. However, at this moment, Martha's attitude was calm, humble, and respectful, completely lacking the arrogance and conceit as rumored. CEO Gordon presiding. By the time the meeting started, 2 or 3 more department heads arrived. Martha gestured for them to sit down and then promptly locked the meeting room door. Hello everyone, my name is Martha Gordon, the newly appointed head of the Research and Development Department. To be honest, this is my first time stepping into the corporate world. I'm very emotional. After so many years of studying with the Gordon family, I can finally put it to use," Martha began, her tone neither arrogant nor self-deprecating, directly addressing the rumors about her within the company. "I often hear my mother say that the research and development department is the most crucial department in the company. Tina Tan, as the deputy manager of the R&D department, has led Chief Manager Thuong and Manager Miles in developing the company's currently popular scar treatment cream. Manager Miller has consistently worked on improving our anti-aging products." Martha mentioned each deputy and manager present by name. Everyone looked at Martha. At that moment, they realized that Martha was taking this job very seriously. "CEO Gordon, this is all part of our duty. We are honored to be a part of the Gordons." Tina Tan was the first to step forward and express her loyalty. Martha's demeanor exuded reliability, reminiscent of the previous CEO, Eve Gordon. "CEO Gordon, we believe that under your leadership, our research and development department will only continue to improve." With Tina Tan taking the lead, the other managers also followed suit, expressing their loyalty one after another. Martha thanked them politely before announcing new benefits. "Abigail has her own unique insights in the field of scar treatment. Back then, the company rewarded Abigail with 50,000 yuan, but she has since only been receiving a basic salary. From today onwards, the research and development teams will receive a 1% commission on revenue. Manager Miller, you've dedicated yourself to the laboratory over the years, often neglecting your family. Your child must be old enough for kindergarten now, right? From now on, senior managers and staff with children under school age will have flexible working hours after completing their tasks." As soon as Martha finished speaking, the room erupted in enthusiastic applause. Among them, Manager Miller wiped away tears from the corner of her eyes. Her child was about to start kindergarten, and her family had been urging her to quit her job to focus on taking care of and picking up her child. But she didn't want to leave her work. Now, with CEO Gordon's arrival, her dilemma was immediately resolved. This move by Martha won over many hearts. Chapter 8, Eliminating Corporate Parasites. Knock, knock. At that moment, there was a knock on the door. The team, led by Diana and Victor Miles, was causing a commotion outside. Tina Tan stood up, intending to open the door, but Martha stopped her and signaled for the meeting to continue. "Next, we will arrange the tasks. Tina Tan, you'll be responsible for compiling the progress and assigning the leads for the current projects of the R&D department. Manager Miller, all the subsequent." Tasks were arranged, and the meeting was coming to an end. Tina Tan opened the meeting room door, and a few people outside angrily barged in. "Miss Gordon, this is a workplace, not a family playground. Are you gathering cliques to hold secret meetings?" Diana crossed her arms and glared at Martha without any courtesy. Martha calmly glanced at her watch. "It's exactly the scheduled time now, and it's been 3 minutes since I announced the meeting. I was busy." Diana hastily interrupted Martha before she could finish her sentence. "Oh." Martha's gaze turned icy. "Our R&D department has plenty of big and small tasks. It's not as simple as Miss Gordon might think. What exactly kept you busy?" Martha coldly cut off Diana, her commanding presence filling the small meeting room, making everyone feel suffocated. Diana felt a pang of guilt in her heart. She had only planned to make up an excuse to cover herself, but now she could only grit her teeth and continue lying. "The newly developed skincare product has some issues. I was just discussing it with the person in charge." "Call the person in charge here." Martha raised an eyebrow, a faint smile appearing at the corner of her lips. "The person in charge." Diana tried to explain, but as soon as she looked up, she met Martha's cold gaze and dared not say another word. The person in charge, when summoned, was understandably confused. The new skincare product was selling extremely well and had no issues whatsoever. Diana's lie shattered with a figurative crack. Martha pulled Diana's file from the stack of documents, tossed it in front of her, and calmly said, "You are being terminated by the company. Go to HR to complete the formalities." Compensation will be discussed with them. Diana stared at Martha in disbelief, her eyes blazing with anger. Martha Gordon, you can't fire me. Can't I? Martha smiled faintly, her voice icy. I belong to Manager Gordon's team. Only Manager Gordon has the authority to fire me. And you're firing me just because I was late to a meeting? I can take you to the labor court for this. Diana suddenly turned ferocious, the fire in her eyes burning intensely. Martha nonchalantly took out her phone and pressed play. The flattering voice of Diana and Victor Miles filled the room, their disparaging remarks about Martha clearly audible in the silent meeting room. Fuming, Diana grabbed her file and stormed out angrily. Martha raised an eyebrow and turned her gaze to Victor Miles. Victor Miles's face alternated between pale and flushed, inwardly cursing Martha as a vile woman. No need for you to fire me, I'll handle my resignation paperwork myself. Resign. Deputy Director Miles, you should reconcile the accounts with the finance department first. A deficit of several $100,000, enough to land you in prison for a few years. Martha sneered coldly. Dare to challenge her? She knew the plot inside out. Every corrupt act within this company was as clear to her as the back of her hand. You. Victor Miles was stunned. How did she know about the deficit of several $100,000? Even Kara Gordon was unaware of this. If you don't want people to find out, don't do it in the first place, Martha said as she pulled out 4 or 5 files, tossing them onto the table. She turned to the manager standing behind Victor Miles and declared, everyone, head to the finance department to collect your salaries. Starting tomorrow, you don't need to come to work anymore. The managers were dumbfounded. They hadn't expected Martha to lay off all of them. Firing nearly the entire senior management of the R&D department was a significant move that would undoubtedly impact its operations. CEO Gordon, isn't this decision of yours a bit too hasty? One of the managers stepped forward, glaring at Martha in dissatisfaction. Hasty? If you don't pull out a rotten tooth, it will eventually ruin the whole set, Martha replied calmly, then left the meeting room without looking back. After Martha left, the manager surrounded Victor Miles, anxiously asking, Deputy Inspector Miles, what should we do now? What else can we do? Go find Manager Gordon. Victor Miles led the managers to Kara Gordon's office. Diana was in Kara Gordon's office, crying and complaining. Kara Gordon, already overwhelmed by the noise, had assumed Victor Miles came to help her resolve the issue, but to her surprise, Victor Miles had also been dismissed. These people were making a fuss, crying and lamenting. The commotion left Kara Gordon pale with frustration. She clenched her fists tightly under the desk. She hadn't expected Martha Gordon to act so quickly, leaving her no time to react. All right, that's enough. Everyone, stop the noise. Victor Miles, you're from the inspector's family. Diana, you're a manager. Both of you are responsible for critical aspects of the company's projects. Martha Gordon firing you all is entirely an act of defiance. Rest assured, it won't be long before she personally begs you to return. Moreover, my uncle has always valued you, and he won't sit idly by. Just as Kara Gordon finished speaking, her assistant hurried into the office, holding a document stamped with the company's seal. Manager Gordon, CEO Gordon has drafted a new welfare plan, which has already been approved by the board of directors. It's being implemented as of now. What? Kara Gordon was stunned. She snatched the paper from the assistant's hand and skimmed through it. The others gathered around as well. Words like 1% of revenue and flexible working hours pierced straight into their hearts. Manager Gordon, you need to give us an explanation. You told us not to attend the meeting. That's right, Manager Gordon. We have elders and children to care for, and no jobs. Are you trying to push us into a corner? The group clamored noisily, their faces filled with agitation. Everyone, wait here. I'll go find CEO Gordon. Kara Gordon's face darkened as she grabbed the welfare notice and headed toward Andrew Gordon's office. Andrew Gordon had just stormed back in through the main door, still catching his breath, when he saw the welfare notice. He almost fainted on the spot. The board approved this? How is that possible? The old men on the board were all on his side. Something this significant, there was no way they could have kept it from him. Uncle, the company seal has already been stamped. Martha Gordon not only slapped you in the face today, but she also showed she doesn't respect you at all. Kara Gordon pouted, her face full of indignation. That insolent girl. She's really grown wings now. I'm calling your uncles right now. Andrew Gordon finished speaking and began contacting each of the stakeholders who were on his side. The answers he received were all the same, they knew nothing about it. Andrew Gordon snorted coldly and hung up the phone. Truly naive and inexperienced, not even aware of how serious a crime it is to unauthorizedly stamp the company seal. Unauthorizedly stamp the company seal? A glimmer of delight flashed in Kara Gordon's eyes. This matter could lead to imprisonment. Chapter 9, The Price of a Powerless Father. Andrew Gordon led Kara Gordon aggressively towards Martha's office. Let's go, find her. Martha, Diana, Victor Miles, these people are all long-time employees of the company, all very competent. How could you decide to fire them just like that? Andrew Gordon first questioned the issue of firing the employees. Very competent. Martha sneered, pulling a file from the cabinet and throwing it in front of Andrew Gordon. Here is the accounting report that was just delivered. Take a look yourself. Andrew Gordon's face darkened as he picked up the file, skimmed through it, and then said, let's set aside the issue of firing employees for now. Let me ask you, what is this welfare notice about? The board hasn't approved it. The discrepancies in the financial report were clear to Andrew Gordon, and some were even due to his own indulgence. These people worked for him, so naturally, he had to grant them some benefits. Father, just a moment. Martha said, picking up her phone to call the Gordons' legal representative, Lawyer Lou. She had only learned about this from her mother earlier that morning. Not long after, Lawyer Lou arrived with documents in hand. Lawyer Lou, please explain this welfare notice to my father, Martha said calmly, looking at him. Lawyer Lou nodded. Mr. Gordon, this is the share transfer agreement from Mrs. Eve Gordon. Miss Martha Gordon currently holds 50% of the company's shares. As for this welfare notice, Director Miles and Director John have both approved it. According to company regulations, if shareholders holding a combined 60% agree, the agreement takes effect. Andrew Gordon's face grew darker and darker as Lawyer Lou spoke. Eve Gordon, that wretched woman, had transferred all her shares to Martha Gordon. That's 50% of the company's shares. Andrew Gordon gritted his teeth, his heart filled with resentment. Kara Gordon stood next to him, her envious gaze impossible to hide. She was seething with hatred, unable to comprehend how Martha Gordon suddenly rose to become the largest shareholder of the Gordons. Father, is there anything you still don't understand? Martha asked coldly, looking at Andrew Gordon. I understand everything now. Attorney Lou, please step outside for a moment. I need to have a private conversation with my daughter, Andrew Gordon said darkly. Attorney Lou glanced at Martha, who nodded in agreement. Once Attorney Lou left, only Martha, Andrew Gordon, and Kara Gordon remained in the office. Andrew Gordon restrained his anger, attempting to keep his tone calm as he said, Martha, you know the company hasn't been doing well in recent years. This welfare announcement could very well bankrupt the company. Is that so? Martha replied without even looking up. Yes. It's true. You're still young and don't understand the complexities of the business world. So, transfer half of your shares to me. I'll step away from my current responsibilities and personally guide you, Andrew Gordon said, his eyes glinting with ambition. Hearing that, Martha smiled and said, Father, I need to discuss this matter with Mother. What's there to discuss? Andrew Gordon impatiently responded, unwilling to let his old wife at home find out that he was eyeing the Gordons' shares. Cousin, I really admire you. Uncle personally teaching you will save you so many detours. Kara Gordon suppressed her jealousy and began to support her father. Father already said it, I don't understand the complexities of the business world, but mother does. If I listen to her, I won't go wrong. Kara, do you truly admire me? Martha shifted her tone, directing her question toward Kara Gordon. Kara Gordon didn't understand Martha's intention and hesitated before nodding. Of course, Uncle has made quite a few achievements for this company. Quite a few achievements. That statement left Martha feeling uncomfortable. If that's the case, Father, why not temporarily assign your recent work to teaching Kara? Her behavior of inciting subordinates to disrespect their superiors is truly foolish. Kara, you too, are temporarily suspended from your managerial role. During this time, Father, please teach Kara how to become a competent manager. Once she learns, her position can be reinstated. Martha slightly curled her lips into a smile, looking at the father-daughter duo in front of her. Or does my cousin want to be demoted? Such a major mistake in work without any punishment would make it hard for others to accept. Martha interrupted Kara Gordon's explanation directly. Martha Gordon, what do you mean by this? Andrew Gordon, who only held a small percentage of the company's shares, compensation given by Martha Gordon's grandfather when he became a son-in-law, was visibly upset. Father's work can be temporarily handed over to Uncle James Turner. You want to seize the Gordons' assets? Then I'll strip you of your power. Andrew Gordon could no longer keep his composure. He glared angrily at Martha and shouted, You ungrateful child. Are you trying to anger me to death? Infuriating someone to death? Where did that come from? Martha rested her chin on one hand, seemingly genuinely puzzled by the meaning of those words. Why was my task handed over to James Turner? You can't do this. Andrew Gordon was on the verge of exploding with anger. Can't do it? Have you forgotten the company's regulations, Father? Shares represent absolute decision-making power. I recall this rule was even proposed by you as the head of the board of directors. Martha raised an eyebrow, her expression innocent as she spoke. Martha Gordon, you're authoritarian and domineering. The Gordons will be ruined in your hands sooner or later. Andrew Gordon was so furious his chest rose and fell violently. He pointed at Martha and shouted. Ruined in her hands? In the novel, it was Andrew Gordon himself who single-handedly destroyed the Gordons. Martha's face instantly turned icy cold, and she spoke each word with precision. Don't worry, Father, I won't let anyone steal or destroy the Gordons. The chill in her voice made Andrew Gordon's entire body tremble, and a wave of coldness surged up his spine. Had she realized something? No, impossible, that matter was handled extremely discreetly by him. How could she possibly know? As soon as Andrew Gordon had this thought, he immediately dismissed it. She must be bluffing. Andrew Gordon snorted heavily, your way of alienating everyone around you will eventually bring you retribution. Then there's no need for you to worry, Father. You should focus on properly teaching Kara. Martha coldly curled her lips, her expression icy as she spoke. You will absolutely regret this. Andrew Gordon's face was filled with anger as he turned and stormed off. Kara Gordon, furious, stomped her foot and added, You won't have a good ending. Then she turned and followed Andrew Gordon as they left. The corner of Martha's mouth lifted into a smirk. Such vile and shameless words could only come from the two of them. Anna, the announcement about CEO Gordon's reassignment can now be posted on the company's official website, she said. She wanted to see how the father and daughter duo would deal with the parasites clinging onto them. Before Andrew Gordon even reached his office, Diana had already seen the announcement posted on the company's official website. In an instant, chaos erupted. Chapter 10, the Look Limited company. Diana and her group rushed to Andrew Gordon's office, only to run into him as he was returning. Immediately, a chorus of voices surrounded him, all speaking at once. CEO Gordon, what should we do now? Does your company no longer need us? We have also contributed a lot of effort to the corporation. Many times, I was the one who resolved the aftermath of Manager Gordon's issues. That's right, CEO Gordon. Pushing people too far will only corner them. The emotions of these individuals were completely stirred up by the announcement on the official website. The anxiety over unemployment left them restless, and the superficial peace was instantly shattered. What do you mean by this? Andrew Gordon's face darkened as he angrily glared at those who had revealed their true colors. CEO Gordon, I even have evidence from the previous bidding process. Andrew Gordon's attitude left Victor Miles disheartened. The loophole that Martha Gordon instructed him to cover up, he hadn't spent a dime to fix it. Instead, he decided to lay all his cards on the table and take a gamble. He had been present throughout the previous bidding process involving the small company, the Look. Luckily, he had kept some foresight. As soon as the bidding process was mentioned, Andrew Gordon's expression grew even darker. However, these individuals were now like ticking time bombs that could explode at any moment. Before coming up with a better solution, he had to stabilize them. The man let out a sigh, feigning a sorrowful expression as he said, Given my current situation, which you all have seen, the only path I can offer you is to join another company. That company is one where I hold 100% of the shares. CEO Gordon, Victor Miles has reconciled the accounts with the finance department and compensated $30,000 for the year. Along with Diana and the others, he has completed the resignation procedures at the HR department, the HR director informed Martha over the phone. $30,000 for the year. Martha leaned one hand on the table, examining her nails thoughtfully. Where could Victor Miles have obtained $30,000? From what she knew, he was the type to spend $2 for every dollar he earned. Yes, after settling the accounts with the finance department, he handed over $30,000 quite readily and even made some harsh remarks. It seems another company has already sent him an offer, the HR director reported in detail. All right, I see. For him to so easily come up with $30,000 in compensation, it was clear the money didn't come out of his own pocket. Martha thought of her poor father, Phoenix. As for the offer from another company, if her poor father Phoenix could provide $30,000, then there was an 80 to 90% chance that Victor Miles had joined his company, the one secretly established behind the Gordons' back, Jume Limited Company. Martha's lips curled into a smirk. She knew exactly what kind of person Victor Miles was, and surely her father did too. Now, not only could he not get rid of him, but he also had to compensate him $30,000. This sense of grievance would surely anger her father for quite some time. As Martha pondered, she opened Tyanyanka to search for Jume Limited Company. This crucial detail needed to be thoroughly investigated. The legal representative of the Look Limited Liability Company was named Henry Tan. In the novel, it was mentioned that he was a distant cousin of her aunt. Henry Tan was only a nominal legal representative. In reality, the company belonged to Andrew Gordon, with its business scope focused on cosmetics. Over the years, Andrew Gordon had repeatedly used products from the Gordons to cover the losses of this company. Searching for the Look Limited Company on Baidu, all that appeared were images of spirited meetings. Most of the employees inside were women with short hair, looking very agile. Searching for Henry Tan revealed a life of luxury, expensive cars, and wealthy mansions. This model, to put it nicely, is multi-level marketing. To put it bluntly, it's a scam. Ting ting. The notification sound of Martha's phone rang. To celebrate your first day at work, I've reserved a spot at CC Bar. You and Fiona Blake should make up by now, right? A WeChat message arrived. Martha switched the screen to look at Victor Clark's chat. Fiona Blake, the former owner's best friend, despised the overly sentimental nature of the original owner. Previously, the two had a huge argument over Lucas Howard, publicly declaring their friendship over. Be on time. After work, Martha changed her clothes and headed straight to the bar. At this moment, the lights were dazzling, and people swayed on the dance floor. Martha sat across from Fiona Blake, raising her glass. Fiona, you were right. With that, she downed her drink in one go, feeling utterly refreshed. Fiona Blake, still holding a grudge and refusing to forgive Martha, was momentarily stunned to see Martha drinking like that. She frowned and asked, "Did that jerk Lucas Howard bully you?" "Yeah, I don't like him anymore." Martha nodded vigorously, her cheeks flushed red. Fiona Blake, the ever-vivacious Fiona Blake. In the book, Fiona Blake didn't have a good ending. She wholeheartedly protected the protagonist but was seen as a thorn in the side by Kara Gordon, enduring countless hardships as a result. That scumbag. I told you before, he's not trustworthy. What did you say to me back then, huh? You said he was gentle, kind, nonsense. He's nothing but a wolf in sheep's clothing. Stop drinking. How many times have you been to this bar already? Don't you know your own alcohol tolerance? Fiona Blake snatched the glass from Martha's hand and slammed it down on the table. All right, stop lecturing me. How's your career going? Martha changed the subject. In the book, Fiona Blake had feelings for Ethan Gordon, the protagonist's brother. But that blind Ethan Gordon only had eyes for Kara Gordon. As a result, Fiona Blake poured all her energy into her career, yet she never seemed to succeed. Later, her beauty salon went bankrupt, and her luck only worsened. It all boiled down to Kara Gordon's protagonist aura wreaking havoc. Under the table, Victor Clark kept tugging at Martha's sleeve, signaling her to stay quiet. Fiona Blake's career was on the brink of collapse, and Martha had just hit a sore spot. Victor feared these two stubborn mules would start arguing again. A complete mess. Fiona Blake shouted, her voice rising above the lively music in the bar, as Martha looked at her with concern. Because your fairy dew ingredient is insufficient. The storyline in the book is this: Fiona Blake's beauty salon was thriving. Kara Gordon, spotting a business opportunity, uncovered the secret to Fiona Blake's salon's success and persuaded her mother, Abigail Stone, to monopolize the most essential ingredient in fairy dew, fairy herb. They then used it for her mother's salon, which also became a massive success. Without fairy herb, Fiona Blake's salon business gradually declined, and most of her customers were now taken by Abigail Stone. How do you know? Fiona Blake looked at Martha in astonishment. That's a secret I can't reveal. Martha smiled mysteriously, pulling out a contract from her bag. Boss, I want to invest. Is that okay? Invest? Fiona Blake accepted the contract. Are you sure? My salon is about to close down. The flickering lights of the bar made it difficult for Fiona Blake to read the text on the contract. Absolutely certain. Martha replied firmly. Take the contract home and read it carefully. I'll come to the salon tomorrow to discuss it with you. Negotiating business in such a noisy place. Can't you two take a break from work? Victor Clark curled his orchid fingers, pointing to a handsome young man not far away. He continued, Ladies, look at that handsome guy over there. Martha and Fiona Blake followed Victor Clark's gaze. Indeed, the young man across the way was quite attractive, bearing a resemblance to the appearance of the most famous boy band of the moment. But, isn't the age a bit too young? Chapter 11, Reunion. Martha withdrew her gaze, took the lead in raising her glass, and said, Not my type. She had no interest in inexperienced young men. She was already several hundred years old, and this young man was only 20-something. Far too young, far too immature, she didn't like this type at all. However, Fiona Blake beside her misunderstood Martha's words, thinking she was still hung up on Lucas Howard. This wouldn't do. She had to help her best friend forget that scumbag as soon as possible. Fiona frowned and glared. I think he's fine. Let's roll the dice, whoever gets the lower score has to go ask for his WeChat. How about that? Okay. Martha agreed immediately, a strange sense of competitiveness rising within her. Nothing could stop her now. Her thoughts were actually quite simple. Ethan Gordon wasn't worth Fiona Blake staying lonely for. She wanted Fiona Blake to meet more men. After all, as beautiful women, they couldn't just hang themselves on one crooked tree forever, could they? 6 points. Victor Clark went first, immediately rolling the highest score, successfully eliminating himself. 3 points. Fiona Blake followed, and her score left her a bit hopeless. Martha couldn't help but curl her lips into a smirk. She began rolling the dice. Fiona Blake was definitely going to lose. The moment unfolded, and the smile froze on her face. How unlucky could she be? Pfft, ha ha ha, 1 point. Victor Clark and Fiona Blake burst into laughter at Martha's expression. Martha, when the heavens entrust a great mission to someone capable, here, borrow this lipstick to add some flair, ha ha ha. Martha looked at her handsome brother with a serious expression. This was the first time in her life she was going to ask someone for their WeChat. Good luck. As Martha stood up, Fiona Blake smugly raised her hand in a cheer. Martha sighed softly, randomly targeting a young man as she stepped forward. She had never done anything like this before, so she could only pretend to be charming and act like she was very experienced. Hey there, can I get your WeChat? WeChat? Before the young man could respond, a very familiar voice reached her ears. Following the sound, Martha turned her gaze and saw William Hunt lazily leaning against the sofa, looking at her with an unhappy expression. Huff. Why is he here? Martha's index finger started to swell and ache again. She gently rubbed it, feeling a slight dampness at the tip. The last time she felt this sensation was also when she was near William Hunt. So, is he the trigger for the celestial pathway, causing it to overflow? Sis, do you still want my WeChat? The young man whom Martha had asked for WeChat had already opened the QR code page. Not far away, William Hunt noticed the scene. His gaze darkened as he looked at the young man with a chilling expression. The young man didn't understand what was happening but felt a cold shiver down his spine. A strong, oppressive aura weighed on him, making it hard to breathe. In a panic, he quickly turned off his phone and said to Martha, I already have someone I like. Then, trembling, he turned away, nervously glancing at William Hunt. You all can carry on. A cold voice rang out, and the group of young men, as if relieved of a heavy burden, scattered like startled birds. At this moment, only William Hunt remained seated in the corner. He took a deep breath, catching a faint trace of pure spiritual energy amidst the overwhelming smell of alcohol. It seeped into his lungs, instantly dispelling the fatigue in his body. This familiar spiritual energy still emanated from the woman before him. A sense of curiosity about Martha stirred within William Hunt. He had hastily skimmed through this book before coming here. Martha Gordon, this character with only a few brief strokes, doesn't seem to resemble the typical canon fodder side character in the original story. Moreover, celestial dew, not just anyone can possess it. Could it be that she's also someone from outside the book? Interesting. William Hunt slightly curled his lips, his voice carrying a hint of allure, incredibly enticing. So quick to change your mind already? Breaking up with the wrong person is the only way to meet the right one, Martha replied nonchalantly, then naturally sat down on the sofa. The tingling sensation in his fingertips became even more pronounced. The advice I gave last time seems to have been meddling unnecessarily. As Martha approached, the scent of spiritual energy grew stronger. Using the excuse of pouring a drink, William Hunt leaned slightly toward Martha. Both were secretly observing each other. Martha casually waved her hand. If it weren't for Mr. Hunt's reminder, I wouldn't have awakened in time. I still have to thank Mr. Hunt. As the time they spent together increased, the tingling sensation in his fingertips reached its peak. At this moment, the distance between the two was only 1 meter. I heard Miss Gordon has started working. William Hunt's gaze rested on Martha's right index finger. His seductive Adam's apple moved slightly. He had an intense desire for Martha's index finger. Last time, following his instincts, he had absorbed the celestial dew from her finger, and the sealed magical power within him loosened slightly. This hope made him crave her. He had never intended to imprison himself in the book forever, and Martha's celestial dew seemed to hold the key to restoring his powers and quickly escaping this place. So, Mr. Hunt has been watching my every move. Martha took the initiative to strike first, her left hand resting on the sofa, her body suddenly leaning forward, warm breath brushing against William Hunt's face. A crisp snap echoed in her mind as Martha's index finger began to secrete celestial dew. She focused on chanting an incantation to collect the celestial dew, which started to gather at the tip of her index fingernail. William Hunt's gaze shifted from cold indifference to unconscious fascination, and now to burning desire as he stared at Martha's finger. Engrossed in collecting the celestial dew, Martha failed to notice the change in William Hunt. Want. William Hunt could no longer suppress his yearning for spiritual energy. With his current feeble powers, he couldn't resist his instincts. A seductive aura seemed to emanate from his very bones, making him irresistibly captivating. Smooch, he grabbed Martha's index finger and drew it into his mouth. The warmth of his mouth startled Martha, breaking her concentration. The incantation to collect the celestial dew lost its effect, and the dew was greedily sucked away by him. How could such a precious thing be so easily taken advantage of by someone else? Martha suddenly exerted force, trying to pull her index finger back, but the other party remained as steady as a rock. Mr. Hunt, are we that close? Martha gritted her teeth, glaring at the devilish man in front of her. William Hunt reluctantly lifted his gaze to look at Martha. Perhaps because he was too satisfied with his actions, the coldness in his eyes was replaced by a seductive charm, making him appear even more devilishly alluring. Another black card? Martha looked at the familiar black card presented before her with utter helplessness. Why did it feel like the two of them were engaging in some strange transaction? However, unwilling to let this man take advantage of her, Martha was just about to accept the black card when an angry voice suddenly rang out, startling her. Her fingertips froze mid-motion. Martha Gordon, what are you two doing? Lucas Howard's face was dark as he stood before Martha. At last, he had caught them in the act. Business. William Hunt spoke coldly, his expression displeased, a dangerous glint flashing in his deep black pupils. Damn it, no more escape routes. Business? What kind of business could Mr. Hunt possibly have with my fiancée? Lucas Howard's tone was sharp as he addressed William Hunt. Miss Gordon is currently the Director of Research and Development at the Gordons. She's not some housewife waiting to be married off. There's plenty of business to discuss, William Hunt replied with a faint smirk, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Lucas Howard grew even more irritated. Unable to outwit William Hunt, he turned his anger toward Martha, shouting, I just saw him sucking on your finger. Lucas, could it be that you've misunderstood us? Martha glanced through the red wine and green lights, accidentally catching sight of a camera not far away. The endurance and determination of the media nowadays were truly astonishing. Seeing Martha's reaction, the fury within Lucas Howard ignited. Misunderstanding? She called it a misunderstanding. Was she implying he was blind? He angrily snapped at Martha, misunderstanding. Martha Gordon, do you call this intimate act a misunderstanding? Martha endured the discomfort of being gripped tightly and spoke in a slightly weak tone, You're hurting me. Hurting you? Martha Gordon, this pain is nothing compared to the humiliation of the green hat you've given me. In Lucas Howard's mind, he would never tolerate being betrayed. Green hat. Lucas Howard, every matter requires evidence. Martha struggled, trying to pull her wrist back. But Lucas Howard's grip was unrelenting. Chapter 12, Is this so amusing? Is this how Mr. Harper treats his fiancée? William Hunt's voice was filled with mockery. As he spoke, William Hunt stepped in front of Lucas Howard, forcefully grabbing Lucas's wrist. Lucas Howard winced in pain and, with a pained expression, released Martha. Although he really wanted to slap William Hunt, the other party's background forced him to calm down. How I treat my fiancée is my business. On the contrary, Mr. Ho, what intentions do you have towards my fiancée? Intentions? Just ordinary ones. William Hunt frowned, disdainfully releasing Lucas Howard's wrist. He merely spent money to pave the way, having no other designs on Martha. Lucas Howard, stop throwing baseless accusations at Mr. Hunt. Seeing Lucas Howard gradually calming down, Martha secretly added fuel to the fire, letting the media capture Lucas Howard's true face. Lucas Howard's composure began to crack. Martha Gordon, are you defending him? Lucas Howard. Can you be reasonable for once? Anger is good, anger is wonderful. I'm unreasonable. Martha Gordon, since when did you become so shameless? Asking him to be reasonable. This thick-skinned woman. Wait until they get home, he'll teach her a lesson. How could you say that about me? Martha secretly pinched her thigh, her eyes immediately turning red. To outsiders, it looked like Martha was being wronged. You did it yourself, and I can't speak about it. The pure girl I loved, where has she gone? Lucas Howard looked at Martha with disappointment. Martha took a deep breath, her acting becoming even more convincing. She cried and sobbed, Lucas, is that how you see me? You weren't like this before. Her sobbing stirred a sense of triumph in Lucas Howard, and he glanced at William Hunt. He wanted to show William Hunt that the woman in front of him was madly in love with him. William Hunt observed Lucas Howard's demeanor and inwardly sneered. He truly couldn't understand how someone as intelligent as Martha Gordon had once been so infatuated with a man like this. In the past? Look at what you've done, do you think you're worthy of even mentioning the past? Lucas Howard said smugly, his tone arrogant. Hearing this, Martha lowered her head in pain, her voice filled with grievance. If that's the case, then let's break off the engagement. Lucas Howard, I won't waste your time anymore. Lucas Howard's smug and arrogant expression instantly froze. Why was this not going as he had expected? Normally, at this moment, Martha Gordon should have been apologizing to him, trying to please him, begging for his forgiveness. Where had things gone wrong? Lucas Howard's mind was in turmoil, but he knew the immediate priority was to pacify this lowly woman. Martha, I don't like the term, break off. I truly love you, Lucas Howard said, his eyes beginning to glisten with fake tears. His pretentious display of affection only made Martha feel nauseous. Not trusting me, deliberately hurting me, using words to attack me, is this what you call love, Lucas Howard? I'm truly disappointed in you. Mr. Hunt, I'm sorry you had to witness this joke today. We'll discuss business matters another time. Martha, weary, grabbed her handbag and turned to return to their table. Of course, Lucas Howard followed her, which immediately brought him face to face with Fiona Blake. Fiona Blake stretched out a leg, blocking Lucas Howard from entering the seating area. She clicked her tongue, her face full of disdain. Where did this dung beetle come from? Why does it smell so awful? Victor Clark, do you smell it too? Of course I smell it. This bar needs to improve its ventilation, Victor Clark said, his disdain for Lucas Howard evident. Though Lucas appeared presentable, his actions were anything but human, more like a dog's. In the past, when his best friend had been infatuated with Lucas, Victor couldn't scold or criticize him. But now that his friend had woken up, there was no way he'd tolerate this scumbag anymore. Lucas Howard's face darkened after being scolded. He wanted Martha to say something on his behalf but noticed she had her head lowered, her body trembling slightly as if she were crying. No one spoke up for him, but Martha Gordon's two friends, especially Fiona Blake, were relentless. Fiona, in particular, never let go of an opportunity whether she was in the right or not. This bar was crowded and chaotic, he didn't want to argue with Fiona Blake. So, he tried to appear affectionate, looking at Martha with tenderness and said, "Martha, don't be angry anymore. If you harm your health, it will make me heartbroken." Then, he pulled out a card from his pocket and handed it to Victor Clark. "Tonight's expenses are on me. Please trouble senior designer Scott to take care of Martha. Don't stay out too late." After finishing all this, he looked at Martha again, with a reluctant and affectionate expression, and said, "Martha, I'll wait for your call." With that, he turned and left. Fiona Blake angrily spat in the direction of his retreating figure. She then looked at her best friend with concern. "Martha, don't be sad anymore. Wait a moment." That slight smile at the corner of her lips didn't look like sadness. Fiona Blake leaned closer to Martha, lowering her head slightly, and discovered that this woman was laughing joyfully. "What's going on here?" Before Fiona Blake could react, Martha suddenly hugged her, burying her face in her chest, laughing even louder. "Is it really that joyful?" Fiona Blake stared blankly at Victor Clark. At this moment, Victor Clark's gaze followed William Hunt's line of sight, looking toward the distance. That faint shadow sparked a sudden thought in his mind. He grabbed a tissue from the table, handed it to Martha, and at the same time leaned closer to Fiona Blake, whispering, "The media is here." "The media?" Fiona Blake glanced at Martha in her arms and suddenly understood. She began cursing Lucas Howard. Occasionally, she paused to catch her breath and said to Martha, "Big sister, can you shed a few tears? I really can't cry." Thinking about Lucas Howard's appearance earlier, Martha couldn't help but curl the corners of her mouth upward. "I no longer doubt that you have any feelings left for that scumbag Lucas Howard." Earlier, she thought her best friend was just saying it casually, but now it seems to be entirely true. This really is worth celebrating, joy has arrived. After the media left, Martha began drinking to celebrate. With someone else footing the bill, there was no need to hold back on spending. By the early hours, Martha helplessly looked at the two drunkards causing a scene. The drunk man on the left mumbled, "Martha, I've long been displeased with your rustic appearance. From now on, become beautiful." The drunk man on the right shouted, "Martha, a beauty doesn't need love. Let us invest in your career, get rich. And get charming." Martha in the middle. After settling the two drunk men, it was already 3 in the morning. Martha yawned and returned to the Gordon family mansion. She happened to run into Ethan Gordon, who looked worried as he was heading out. In Martha's mind, the novel's plot automatically surfaced: Kara Gordon, drunk, accidentally called Ethan Gordon. Ethan, concerned for the beauty's safety, went to the bar late at night to pick her up. On the way to take Kara Gordon home, she borrowed the moment to express her emotions, reminiscing about her father and lamenting her unfortunate fate. Ethan Gordon promised that no matter what happened, he would always stand by Kara Gordon's side. In summary, from this day forward, Ethan Gordon officially became Kara Gordon's stepping stone. From now on, refuse to be anyone's tool. Chapter 13, The fish pond is about to explode. Thinking this, Martha immediately grabbed Ethan Gordon. "It's so late already, where are you going?" "Kara is drunk at the bar. She's a girl, and it's very dangerous for her to be alone." "I'm going to pick her up," Ethan Gordon said, worry evident as sweat covered his forehead. "What happened?" "Kara is always so composed. Did something serious occur?" "I'll go with you," Martha said boldly, grabbing her bag and following Ethan Gordon. "All right, let's hurry," Ethan Gordon agreed without much thought, his mind entirely preoccupied with concern for Kara Gordon. Kara Gordon could never have imagined, even in her dreams, that Martha Gordon would come along with Ethan Gordon. She had no choice but to swallow all her grievances and complaints. Half leaning against Ethan Gordon, the cold wind outside the bar made her mind unusually clear. Glancing at Martha beside her, she weakly said, "Martha, I really admire the bond between the two of you. Arguing one day and making up the next, closer than real siblings." Kara Gordon's words carried multiple layers of meaning, causing Martha to roll her eyes slightly. "Your brother and I have similar personalities, so we argue easily. But siblings never hold grudges overnight. Besides, he's a kind person. Kara, you and he will definitely be happy together." "Martha, don't say nonsense," Ethan Gordon said, his face flushing. He liked hearing such words, but he was also afraid Kara might get upset. Why are you talking nonsense? Kara already admitted at the auction that she's with you, didn't she?" Martha exclaimed in shock. "Really? Kara? Did you agree to be with me?" Ethan Gordon looked at Kara Gordon excitedly. Kara was such a kind and gentle girl, he vowed to protect her in the future. Kara Gordon's face turned pale, then darkened, silently cursing Martha for being so talkative. However, she still put on a shy expression and said, "Ethan, feelings should develop slowly. Rushing things won't lead to good results. Ethan, are you willing to take things slow with me?" "I'm willing." Ethan Gordon's eyes turned red with emotion. Martha couldn't help but sigh. This clueless guy, Kara Gordon was clearly treating him as a backup plan, yet he was happily thinking he was about to be promoted to the main role. "So, have you two confirmed your relationship? I need to post this on my social media to congratulate you." Martha spoke as she picked up her phone, ready to take a picture. Kara Gordon turned pale with fear, but being the heroine, she quickly adjusted her demeanor. She tugged on Ethan Gordon's arm coquettishly and said, "Ethan, shouldn't we fully understand each other before officially confirming our relationship?" Yes, Kara is right." Ethan Gordon was so overwhelmed with excitement that he completely followed Kara Gordon's lead. "Aren't you two childhood friends?" They had grown up together, and Ethan Gordon had been chasing after Kara Gordon since they were kids. He probably understood her better than her own mother. How could Ethan Gordon be so oblivious, not realizing Kara Gordon had ulterior motives even at this point? Martha's words seemed to bring the backup plan Ethan Gordon back to his senses somewhat. "That's right, Kara, I do know you very well. But I don't understand, Ethan, don't you want to give me a chance to get to know you?" Martha Gordon meddled in others' business, making Kara Gordon grit her teeth in frustration. "I'm willing, Kara. I'm willing to let you get to know me." As expected, Ethan Gordon took the bait. "Brother, just saying it doesn't help. Quickly hand over your resume so Kara can get to know you better," Martha continued to assist. "Oh, right. My name is Ethan Gordon, and I'm from the Gordon family. Kara grew up with us. She already knows all of this. You have to tell her something she doesn't know. Kara Gordon doesn't understand Ethan Gordon. Ridiculous." In the book, Kara Gordon toyed with Ethan Gordon willingly. "Kara, in what way do you want to understand me?" Ethan Gordon felt Martha had a point. Kara Gordon was cornered. Ugh. She pushed Ethan Gordon away, pretending to be drunk and nauseous, successfully steering the conversation away. After pretending to vomit, she feigned unconsciousness, keeping up the act until she was taken home. By then, dawn had broken. Martha sat in the passenger seat of Ethan Gordon's car, scrolling through her phone while sending him countless WeChat messages. The constant dinging of notifications annoyed Ethan Gordon, prompting him to ask, "Martha, what are you sending me?" "The love manual for assistance." Martha put down her phone and yawned, "Brother, just take me to the company. I'll sleep there for a while." It's already 6 o'clock now, with the morning meeting at 9, she could still sleep for more than 2 hours. Okay. Ethan Gordon wasn't interested in the company. Compared to researching skincare products, he preferred his flowers and plants. After dropping Martha off, Ethan Gordon returned to his room and opened the love manuals Martha had sent him. Inside, there were suggestions like posting on social media to seek love, confessing with candles downstairs, and courageously saying, "I love you," among others. Ethan Gordon found the manuals quite reasonable, so he began implementing the method suggested in them. Kara Gordon, wholeheartedly focused on cultivating her spare tires, had no idea her fish pond was about to explode. The next day, early in the morning, 3 topics dominated the trending searches on a certain social media platform. Hashtag true love exists in the world. Ethan Gordon of the Gordon's Corporation boldly pursues love. Hashtag a self-introduction post as long as a novel. Hashtag officially confirmed relationship. Hashtag famous influencers gathered at the Miller apartment, live streaming and recording videos. 2 trucks loaded with luxury goods left everyone astonished. Kara Gordon instantly became the woman everyone in River City envied. Meanwhile, Kara Gordon sat gloomily in her apartment. In front of her, the floor was a chaotic mess, with shattered porcelain pieces scattered everywhere. She completely didn't understand which sentence last night had hinted Ethan Gordon in such a way. Now, the whole world knows she wants to slowly progress with Ethan Gordon. Last night, she nurtured her backup plans with usual phrases, and now the entire internet knows. She couldn't refuse. After all, in those hot girls videos, they had built her image as pure, cautious, and reservedly liking Ethan Gordon. If she refused, it would contradict that image. But she absolutely would not become Ethan Gordon's girlfriend. The one she liked was Lucas Howard, and she would eventually become Lucas Howard's wife. Ding dong, the sound of phone messages kept ringing. Kara Gordon picked it up to see, and they were messages from the backup plans she had been nurturing. Some criticized her for playing with emotions, while others wished her true love. In short, all the resources she had painstakingly nurtured over time were now completely cut off in one go. Kara Gordon didn't just dislike Ethan Gordon anymore, she hated him. Kara Gordon opened her friend's circle and posted, "Is the truth really what we see in front of us?" She wanted to try turning the situation around. Not long after Kara Gordon posted in her friend's circle, Lucas Howard called. "Kara, are you with Ethan Gordon now?" If listened carefully, one could sense the concern in Lucas Howard's voice. Kara Gordon slightly curled her lips, aggrieved, and said, "I'm not." "Then what's all the fuss online about?" Hearing Kara Gordon deny it, Lucas Howard let out a sigh of relief. "Oh, mentioning this makes me so upset. I swear to you, Ethan Gordon and I only have a sibling-like relationship, absolutely nothing more. It's just that he misunderstood, partly because I wasn't clear enough, but I..." Kara Gordon pouted. She continued, "But you know my position in this family, Lucas. I'm small and insignificant, my words carry no weight. I didn't dare to speak up clearly. Now that things have escalated to this point, I honestly don't know what to do anymore." As Kara Gordon spoke, she sobbed, her nasal voice filled with sorrow, crying directly into Lucas Howard's heart. Chapter 14, Scandal Online. Lucas Howard had always liked Kara Gordon. She was gentle, kind-hearted, and completely devoid of the arrogance and pride typical of wealthy heiresses. In truth, Kara Gordon was his ideal wife. If it weren't for his desire to elevate the Harper family's status further, he would never have married Martha Gordon. Wait a moment, Lucas Howard suddenly came up with a plan. If Martha Gordon's reputation issue leads to the annulment of the engagement, then the Harper family would gain the upper hand. Taking advantage of this opportunity, they could pull in the Gordon family's partners, step over the Gordon family to climb higher, and elevate the Harper family's status. Thinking of this, a sinister expression appeared on Lucas Howard's face. "Kara, stop crying. I have a plan that can ease your current situation." "What plan?" Kara Gordon asked tearfully. Use a bigger scandal to overshadow this news, Lucas Howard said in a grim tone, his eyes flashing with malice. A bigger scandal? Kara Gordon was puzzled. She recalled every detail from her previous life. At this time, it seemed like nothing major had happened. Martha Gordon having an affair with William Hunt. Remembering the humiliation he suffered at the bar, Lucas Howard was filled with uncontrollable rage. What? Kara Gordon exclaimed in surprise, unable to hide the smile creeping onto her lips. I've already asked some friends to get the surveillance footage from the bar. Just wait for the big news, Lucas said. Once he got the footage, he would delete all parts unfavorable to him. At that point, let's see how. Martha Gordon could defend herself. Lucas, Kara Gordon feigned hesitation. Martha is my cousin and your fiancée. We both know what kind of person she is. Could this be some kind of misunderstanding? Misunderstanding? I saw it with my own eyes. What could possibly be misunderstood? Kara was truly kind-hearted, even at this point, she was still thinking of others. Someone like Martha Gordon, that despicable woman, didn't deserve any sympathy. That night, Martha Gordon even swiped his card for $2 million in one go. What a wasteful woman. Martha is truly outrageous. How could she be so unfaithful? Such behavior, lacking in moral conduct, if the elders in the family were still alive, they would certainly punish her severely. Back when Grandma was alive, she often reminded the daughters to uphold virtue and maintain decency. Kara Gordon first stood from Lucas Howard's perspective to criticize Martha, then borrowed the words of the family elders to highlight her own purity. This maneuver was highly effective, and Lucas Howard's fondness for Kara Gordon skyrocketed. Kara, whoever marries you in the future will truly be the luckiest man. Lucas. Kara Gordon shyly called out his name. Indeed, what you can't have is always the most desirable. Before Lucas Howard officially broke off his engagement with Martha Gordon, Kara aimed to be the beauty mark on his chest, the bright moon in his heart, even if she couldn't be his lover. With such subtle hints, once he annulled the engagement with Martha Gordon, Kara would immediately become his fiancée. Kara Gordon had everything planned perfectly. As soon as the call ended, Lucas Howard immediately instructed someone to send the meticulously edited bar video to a beauty blogger with tens of thousands of followers. The female beauty blogger immediately drafted the content, and after both parties agreed, her post along with the video was uploaded. Hashtag meeting handsome guys and beautiful girls at the bar, male lead resembling William Hunt, another day to envy someone else's love. Hashtag in this video, under dim lighting and with lively music in the background, you can see two people standing very close to each other, seemingly in some sort of confrontation, creating a very ambiguous atmosphere. The video posted by the beauty blogger was tagged William Hunt. William Hunt, with his captivating face, has always maintained his top-tier status in the entertainment industry. As soon as this video was released, it immediately caused a stir. William Hunt's fans dissected every frame of the video, ultimately confirming that it was indeed their beloved idol. Their idol shines like the stars, and even if he turned to ashes, they could still recognize him. Female fans, blinded by anger, flocked to Martha's Weibo, exposing and cursing her. Taking advantage of the situation, Lucas Howard tagged Martha under the beauty blogger's Weibo post and questioned, "Am I still your fiancé?" At the same time, numerous netizens who knew about the situation chimed in online. Some said that CEO Harper is not only handsome but also deeply devoted, always indulging the eldest daughter of the Gordon family. Others said that when Martha was unattractive in the past, Lucas Howard never despised her and always encouraged her to be confident. Now that she's confident, she immediately has an affair. These people all have images and evidence. Kara Gordon's hot search was immediately suppressed. In the blink of an eye, Martha on the internet became synonymous with promiscuity and shamelessness. The top hot searches on Weibo were dominated by the names William Hunt and Martha. Martha had just finished handling a pile of documents when she received a call from Fiona Blake.